I'm guessing you're going to ask how I found out that I had 10.6 billion on my head.
Yes, I really want to know that question or the
My
answer to that.
half sibling, well, one of the things that I found was he had left literally all the evidence behind. He put all his notebooks that he had, and I thought it was just his previous like work notebooks for when he worked for the mafia. He did all the telemarketing for the mafia, selling magazines. And I was always on him going, why do you need all these old, notes and stuff? Just throw them away. Old computers, old notes, old phones. He kept them all. And I was like, I'm not going to store all these. I mean, you're going to have to do something about this. I mean, so after he left, I just felt like something was telling me go in the storeroom and start digging. And when I did, it was like uncovering your own murder plot, literally like I was in a movie. And one of his writings was, there'll be other women, there'll be other careers, but this one's worth 10.6 billion. And I was like, well, that's a lot of insurance policies. I mean, I don't know. And I thought I was reading something wrong. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
too high for any one person. But, it was all on notebooks and handwritten, that sort of
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
I come to find out when I was digging and I started learning this program and really the depthness of it. And I ran across a video that was talking about slush funds and how they operate and how slush funds that they can use your social security number. One social security number can be used for thousands of illegal aliens. And the IRS turns a blind eye to the name and number matchup, and that's why they murder us. So it kind of was like a red flag, and it could be worth billions of dollars.
Welcome to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Mosby. Join me as I dive into powerful stories of resilience and strength. In each episode, I sit down with guests who have faced similar journeys of coercive control, financial manipulation, and personal invasion. Together, we uncover the shadows, share our experiences, and inspire others to reclaim their lives. Tune in, listen, and be a part of the community that stands tall against the forces that seek to control us.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Unveiling Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Mosby. Thank you for joining us as we continue to uncover stories that are often overlooked but deeply important. Today, I'm honored to welcome a courageous guest, Sherri Mullinax. For nearly a decade, Sherri has faced targeted harassment and systematic abuse experiences she believes that are tied to covert and organized effort involving law enforcement, government contractors, and community actors in Austin, Texas. Despite all she's endured, Sherri is here to share her story in hopes of finding support, raising awareness, and encouraging others who may be suffering in silence to speak out. Sherri, thank you for being here and your incredible strength. I'm truly honored to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. I do want to correct something, but I happen to be in Austin, but my targeting was mostly in Georgia, Mississippi.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself and when you first discovered that you were being targeted?
When I first discovered I was being targeted it happened pretty suddenly. There was just some strange events that were happening. For about 8 months, I was getting a lot of like different paranormal type of activity on my outside video cameras. And I was like researching it enough to where I was actually going to make an exposure video, not video, but website about it. And it was buildings and carports. However, going down the rabbit hole, it came to my attention that the man that I was with for like 7 years and had met in high school. We reconnected after 30 years on Facebook, that sort of thing. And we're together for 7 years. On January 2nd, walked out the door saying the last thing that my brother said before he was unalived. And that was a strange event. And then it caused me to get down a rabbit hole there, and it never stopped. And come to find out that he was set in my life, as well as every man that's ever been in my life, through my half siblings who are DOD, Lockheed Martin, state actors. They're all highly entangled into this nefarious program that we're seeing that's going against everyone. Come to find out that I had like $10.6 billion on my head. So
Wow.
I caught someone in my home that was trying to murder me, and the police weren't doing anything previous to the crimes that were being committed against me previous to me discovering that they were trying to murder me, and knew that I was in some type of trouble, but I had no idea what it was. It took me probably 3 or 4 months to really figure out that it was coming from my family,
Yep.
which was trauma in itself.
Yeah, it's betrayal trauma for sure. Yeah.
I'm guessing you're gonna ask how I found out that I had 10.6 billion on my head.
Yes, I really wanna know that question or the
My
answer to that.
half sibling, well, one of the things that I found was he had left literally all the evidence behind. He put all his notebooks that he had, and I thought it was just his previous, like, work notebooks that he had for when he worked for the mafia. He did all the telemarketing for the mafia, selling magazines, and so, and I was always on him, going, "Why do you need all these old, notes and stuff? Just throw them away. Old computers, old notes, old phones." He kept them all, and I was like, I'm not going to store all these. I mean, you're going to have to do something about this. I mean, because you're not going to use them, so why keep them? So after he left, I just felt like something was telling me go in the storeroom and start digging. And when I did, it was like I uncovered horrific. It was like uncovering your own murder plot, and it was literally like I was in a movie. I mean, I felt like I was in some type of horror flick. And one of his writings was, there'll be other women, there'll be other careers, but this one's worth 10.6 billion. And I was like, well, that's a lot of insurance policies. I mean, I don't know. And I thought I was reading something wrong. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
too high for any one person, or, I mean, I would have probably believed, 10 million. But, when I saw that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I just kind of threw it to the side because there was so much that he left behind that I could have spent, months just sitting there reading, these stories and poetry and all kinds of stuff, because he loved to write it all out. And that's the thing. They will, he never had anything on, computer. It was all on notebooks and handwritten, that sort of thing.
Yep. Yep.
I come to find out, when I was digging and I started learning this program and really the depthness of it, and I ran across a video that was talking about slush funds and how they operate, and how slush funds, that they can use your social security number. One social security number can be used for thousands of illegal aliens, and the IRS turns a blind eye to the name and number matchup, and that's why they murder us. So it kind of was like a red flag, and that it could be worth billions of dollars. And I went, oh, I have a half sibling who has been the department of, well, the head HR department of agriculture for the whole state of Florida for over 40 years. And I, I already knew that she was involved because of her stance on political views and who she supports. And, it rolled on down to that was what it was.
Yeah. So you say you have family members that where are your parents right now? And
They're
are
both
they
gone.
how are they involved in this?
They're both gone.
They're both gone.
And now this is just what I can guess, because of, the history and the animosity and that sort of thing towards my brother and I. My mom and dad both were married previous to marrying each other. My mom's husband died at 27. She was 25, raised her 2 daughters for 10 years before she and my dad met. And then my dad had 3 children by his previous wife, left his wife with everything. And he and my mom got together probably like 3 or 4 years later, and they got pregnant with me and my brother. There was a little animosity thing. And I think that's where they put this thing together, and targeted my father as well as my mother. I haven't really, I've really, dug into, trying to figure out if they would have been involved. And there's just nothing that shows me that they would have been involved in any of this.
Your parents, so it's your siblings.
Well, my other half sibling, she was going to Kennesaw State College in Marietta, Georgia, when they first got married. And she ran over a police officer while he was directing traffic and killed him. So the story was, because I was either not born or just born right when it happened. And the story was that they told my mother that if they prosecuted her, she wouldn't be able to handle it. It would be a really bad thing for her. So they never prosecuted her. However, when she graduated college, they put her directly into a top secret program for Lockheed Martin.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
how it works. Yeah.
and I really believe my dad's brother, my uncle, he was a tool and die expert for General Electric, as well as my as well as his wife was a big manager or something for General Electric. So they never had any kids. It was a real weird thing that my dad said that they wanted to raise me and my brother if something were to happen to my parents, and they didn't will my it was a really weird situation. And as well as my aunt, she won like Miss North Carolina in like 1950 something and got pregnant with the man that owned a hospital and that was already married with children, and he was going to leave his she was going to be a honeypot for he to leave his wife, and he never did, so it kind of backfired on her. And she named her son the guy's whole name, not just the last name. She didn't give just the last name. She gave the whole name. And I just recently found that out. I thought, who would have done, I mean, would you have done that? So then after I guess she got married to an heir to DuPont. So it's all, it's all connected.
Connected. It is. It's all connected. I know this for a fact. It's crazy, that these people do such nefarious things and think that they're going to be protected when, in fact, when the truth comes out, none of these people are going to be protected.
Right. Well, it's definitely just it's a satanic ritual abuse program is what it is. And they've been doing that to me all my life. From when I was 15 months old, I was at a babysitter. I fell on a floor furnace and burned my hands so bad that I had 9 plastic surgeries on my hands at 15 months old. And come to find out that that's how I was able to discover that they implanted me with microchips because I have one inside my hand. And they were able to locate one of those through the scan.
Yeah. So you've had scans by Jesse Beltran, correct?
No, by
John Kingston. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And so how many foreign bodies do you have?
He found 12.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
But I think there's more. And the only reason I say that is because I knew because of a circumstance of me having a deviated septum repair when I was in my early 20s by a guy that used to be CEO of Kimberly-Clark. He paid it out of his pocket. And I thought that was a little weird, but okay. But I was early 20s, so you don't really expect things, or, you don't think things are, nefarious.
Right.
And when he scanned me, I asked him how many were my face, because at this time I knew, because of going back and figuring it out, and going, why would he have paid out of his pocket for something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so he goes, I didn't know. I didn't find any in your face. And I know for a fact there's some in my face. And sure enough, when he did it, he found one behind my eye, like right above my eye.
Yep. Yeah, they say most of them have them there and there. So I guess we'll see. I'm having my scan next month, but mine will be with Jesse because I paid earlier on this year. And so I've had a rolling credit. But I have been in contact with John Kingston. And so hopefully he'll get back to me so I can have them both, but I think more information is better than no information.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully. Okay. So after that guy left, the guy that you were dating after you reconnected on Facebook, what happened after he walked out the door and said the same thing that your brother said before he passed away? What happened after that?
I think, because there's so many things that I have to like piece together to think, well, if that happened, that should have happened. And going back, I'm like, well, that probably should have happened, but I did this, so that kept that from happening, that kind of thing. And so, right afterwards, I had discovered that he had forged my signature to fraudulent FEMA documents of him. He was getting, rental assistance from FEMA when he wasn't even affected by any type of storm or anything. So, and where I saw where he had forged my name, I was like, I don't think so. I'm not going to jail. And then I started looking through his computers and finding that I thought it was like prostitution. I had no idea of any type of sex trafficking, any of that stuff. I was totally, not ignorant to any of that.
Yeah.
And so I knew that there was some type of sex trafficking going on in my account. And I was not able to get in any of my accounts. I had my business going. I was making 6 figures. I was doing really, really well. I'm about to make a lot more. But they changed it to where, and I'll just go ahead and say it, it was going to be a building gate instead of a pizza gate. I was selling buildings and carports.
Yep.
They were taking and making codes out of the buildings, the size, the colors, the shape, and all that. It was all coded for. So
Yep.
I I knew something really nefarious was going on. And that's when I went to the police station. I mean, I waited week. One thing about it is I loved him and I didn't want anything to happen to him. And I definitely didn't want to put him in prison. So I waited like 2 weeks to where I had to go because I knew my life was in danger at this point when I was going and trying to dig on the computers, and this big Microsoft like shield starts popping up on the computer just like a movie, and it starts and gives this big alarm on my computers saying, and then it types across the screen, hold off, call the team. And I was like, what team? And I ran out. I like packed up everything, ran to the police station. And when I got to the police station, that was where the weird stuff started.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like I was in some kind of horror flick. I mean, I walked in there and he never even took me to the back. He kept me in the lobby. He never looked me in the face. And as I was telling him, it was so weird. And I told him, there's some type of sex trafficking or something going on my computers. And he's like, there's a whorehouse over there. There's a whorehouse over there. There's a whorehouse over there. And I said, yeah, but it's in my name. And he goes, so you're the madam now. I mean, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I was like, you're not going to even look at any of the evidence I'm trying to show you, anything, nothing. And then I was to uncover that they had placed an explosive device in my tanning bed. And that was when it got real. That's when I ran. I ran for my fully paid for home.
Yep.
Business, everything, just to stay alive. They didn't count on that, but they still had me, going where they wanted me.
Yeah. Because you get to a fight or a flight mode, and you're not sure what to do if they, have surveilled you and socially profiled you to that extent.
And I'm still going through it. So
Exactly.
it is
Yep.
what it is because, I mean, there's no one you can call on. I promise you that.
Yep. I've called many places and the government is not on our side.
So we're pretty
Okay.
much out there like sitting ducks.
Yeah, everybody's targeted at this point. It's only those of us that have figured it out, that you can only have so much bad luck, people. So you need to start waking up now and know that they're, revealing everybody, especially with these huge fusion centers, that they're building for AI. And and still doing sex trafficking on people and children. And it's just time for us as a society to wake up and hold these criminals accountable.
And, these honeypots, I love that part of the whole equation is now becoming more apparent, I think, to the norm. Because they really do set the honeypots in your life. I mean, and the thing about it with mine is easy because everyone that I've ever had in my life has some type. My ex-husband's dad was the one that developed the moon landing photos for NASA. My ex-fiance of 5 years, his dad was a 33 and 32 degree York-Rite and Scottish Rite Mason, as well as a Delta pilot who flew privately for the elites and Fortune 500 company people. This is on his obituary. And then I have a boyfriend that I had for about a year and a half, and his dad was an attorney for the Air Force, for the Pentagon. I mean, no one's ever been in my life that doesn't have that type of pedigree.
Yep.
And for that, and it never dawned on me ever. And, you just don't, I never knew anything like this was even possible.
Well, because you don't think evil, so why would you think that? But it is evil. All these programs are evil. They keep renaming them. Now they don't even have to give us foreign bodies. They can do it with the smart dust, the nanotechnology dust, which I'm doing my live on Thursday about that, the graphene oxide and nanoparticulates. So I hope you can join us there.
I would love to.
So, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you were going through it, and what would it be?
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, the Bible is true. I mean, Satan is always around you. I mean, if you are ever at the point where you're saying, this is just so weird, who does this happen to? Because I did that a lot. And it was because it was meant to happen. It was programmed to happen. It was plotted. It was staged. It was all that. It was all a stage. And when I'm a nobody, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not just a woman who raised 2 kids and worked her ass off for her whole life. And to rewind the tape on everything for this to be a realization that this has actually happened and I was in part of some type of program and, all my life being set up to work for the mafia, being set up to work for, have people in my life that were always coming out, like celebrities, like, calling my companies and wanting work done. And I was like, this is this is so weird. Now it all makes sense. It all fits together now.
Yep.
So I'd probably say nothing is ever a coincidence.
That's a great one. There are no coincidences.
Correct.
And a majority of this has all been planned out.
So it's been horrific, to be completely honest with you. They've left me with nothing.
Yeah.
And that was the point. And I've worked my whole entire life, and my parents own one of the busiest commercial properties in Atlanta, and they knew what they were doing to be able to take that from me and to slowly torture me. But that was their thing, and they were going to make lots and lots and lots of money on me. And I'm just saying that's one arena there's several arenas with life insurance companies and financial companies. I found the police department that I had went to in Mississippi when this stuff started happening. I found with their pension fund was with my handler's best friend's financial company, and and he's the owner well, not owner, he's the president of it. So I'm like, well, that's not a coincidence now, is it?
Nope.
So that's why they never helped me.
Because you have too much information, but then they wanted to,
Well, I didn't have any information at that point. I just had a lot of money right on my head and know it. And I will tell everyone, it really irks me when I hear if they want you dead, you'll be dead. But God protects you. And I can't tell anyone how many times that God has protected me. And I will tell you, there's no reason I should be alive right now today other than him protecting me.
Yep. I agree with that. Okay. Let's see. So we know that it affected you financially because of the the mobbing of the assets is all planned, and we've talked about that previously. And so what have you learned about protecting yourself from further harm and setting boundaries with people to not be taken advantage of?
Well, the only way I've been able to really protect myself is just stay away from everyone, because there's been so many times, because I have a heart for others, that I've always tried to help other people ahead of myself, which has always been my detriment. To my detriment.
Yep.
One of the last girls that I tried to help, she was like, playing this, I'm part of this video game. I got this VGK going on. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll come pick you up and then we can go down to, we'll be a team. And when I went and picked her up, I come to learn that she was some kind of Latino queen of S13 or some craziness. And then she tried to poison me. So I just, I'm done. I can't continue to put myself in situations where they're setting me up. And they didn't. They have set me up quite a few times, and even in the targeted community.
Yeah. They like to infiltrate stuff, which is, criminal behavior anyway. They like to disguise themselves as something that they're not, and it's not okay. But the universe sees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice or any other information do you have for other targeted individuals that are just finding out that they have been targeted?
Well, one of the biggest things that I've seen in the targeted community is that as I was learning myself and going down the rabbit hole, I was coming out to the part where, okay, I am targeted, but it's a deeper thing than that. It's actually where I was MKUltra. And then talking to other people that I've met in the targeted community, finding out that they have the commonalities of military backgrounds in their family, a lot of corporational energy type things, like the nuclear plays a big role. There's a lot of commonalities with the bloodline, the Rh negative blood. Surprisingly, it was just a few weeks ago, it was half brothers and sisters. So it was just we're always having little, get-togethers where we're just kind of going down commonalities, and there are a lot of commonalities. And so that's what I suggest for people to do. I mean, a lot of people, they think it's their neighbors or whatever, but really, if you think about it, and you probably have, is that when you start going down, you start wondering, okay, could that person have been involved? And then you start going back. different, episodes and different things that that they did, or where they played a role in setting you up to be here when you should have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a satanic ritual abuse program. That's what it is. Everybody wants to say fascist or Nazism or whatever, but it's all satanic. That's all. I mean, that's what it boils down to, from what I've been able to tell.
Yeah, trauma-based mind control programs is basically, what these programs are. And they've
Yeah.
renamed them several times. It could be named something else besides MKUltra today. But we know that, DARPA's involved, and a lot of other government, if not all of them, are involved in
Yes.
tormenting their own civilians, which is treason.
Well, I believe when they do it to their family members, it's more, you get more of a higher status and higher marks. And because I think that you're able to control your family members a lot more than you would, a total stranger. So I think that when you put your family members involved, you're able to, use them like a puppet, really. And so that's the satanic thing about that, is that your family members are involved, which is hard for people to grab hold of, because that's one thing that I couldn't really grasp until, you know, actual congresswoman, or congressman's assistant told me that my family was the one doing this to me.
Oh, was that recently?
No, that was in the that was pretty much in the very beginning, when I was looking for someone to help me with, I thought it was just my boyfriend and his little mafia gang or something. I didn't know what, I thought it was about my business, and him wanting, to take my businesses over and that sort of thing. That had nothing to do with it. I mean, I had some, but no, he was set there from a long,
The
from
very
the
beginning. Yeah.
I mean, he set me up to find his uncle murdered. I mean, oh yeah, with my daughters in the car. I'd never even met his uncle. We were coming back from Florida, and meeting the mafia, and came back, and he just, we happened, I opened the door, and he was already at the door for like 20 minutes. I mean, it was so evident, and there was like, the house was flooding with water. And this was in Pensacola. So I know that he had his uncle murdered. I already knew it was murder when I walked in the door. When I discovered it, I already knew it.
Yeah.
I just didn't think he had anything to do with it.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm like, these people don't have a conscience or a soul.
No.
They've been, sold their souls to the devil, is what I think.
They
And
have.
yeah.
And a couple weeks prior to him leaving, he was getting in bed one night, and I looked over, and his whole face just like shape shift into something that I'd never seen before. And I just was like, and I thought it was that he was drinking too much alcohol. I was like, yeah, I think you need to stop drinking.
Nope, they're revealing what's inside of them. Like, truly, they can only hide it for so long. And it's interesting that you say about the shape shifting, because I did this restacked a video on my Substack when President Trump was at the UN speaking to people, and someone video recorded and zoomed in on some of these people that are part of the UN, and they all looked like demonic beings. The majority of them looked like demonic beings. And I was like, whoa, this is some crazy shit. So if you have time to go to my Substack, check out that
I'm
video.
going to. Well, I've caught so much on video. I mean, I have a video of him walking. He literally was walking by my outside video camera when I wasn't there one day, and completely disappeared. Literally disappeared. And when people look at this, they're like, where'd he go? Because the dog was still there, and the dog was looking around for him. And it was really bad. I mean, I was like, okay, this is not normal. It's not normal.
No. They're like beings. And
They are.
hopefully we're going to stamp them out by being our positive light vibration, high vibration, love vibration beings. That's the only way to overcome, I think, the
You are
darkness.
so right with that, because if you don't have a higher vibration and a higher frequency, that's when they can get you.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself like getting depressed or overwhelmed with all the negative craziness that's going on, the only way to not get that to enter you is to keep that shield up.
Yep. Just, put your golden magic light shield up. I agree. And you can even do that with intention. I usually sit quiet for like the first 5 minutes or so of the of the morning where I'm taking in the morning sun and then building, my shield around me. So that's great advice. I like that a lot.
It is. And if you
Yeah.
can picture this, because I've actually seen this where there's huge angels that are protecting us with their wings. I mean, they literally block demons by the
Mm.
thousands away from you. And just, imagine one on each side of you, in front of you, and behind you. And just know that they walk with you. They actually protect you.
Yep. I agree with that
And like
100%.
you said, the heart, the love, keep it up, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us human, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Human. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Okay, so anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, my daughter called me just the other day and said one of my perps was one of my neighbors. He actually shot his father and killed him, as well as then my handler who walked out the door. He just got arrested again for the third time in Mississippi for DUI, which he already had 3 in Georgia. And hoping that they're going to keep him this time. I don't know. I wrote a letter to the arrested officers there saying he's part of a huge network of criminal activities. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I've caught him twice. I have evidence, hardcore evidence of him trying to murder me on several occasions. One occasion, I thought it was a complete accident. And going back in my head, I was like, no, I should have had my head examined then, because it was like so obvious that it wasn't an accident.
right. And then if you go to the cops, they do nothing.
Well, actually, I called them and they said, well, you need to come here and make a report of this, and they're seeing it. And I actually called another police department where I had reported him as an assault charge at one point. This was like several years ago. And I called them and I was like, I reported this. Why wasn't anything ever done? And they said they couldn't find him. Well, knowing what I know now, because an attorney did like a deep dive on him, he has a FBI number. He is an informant. Can't make it up.
No, you can't make this stuff up. And then once you go down the rabbit hole, you're not coming out, people. So start going down your rabbit holes. And it's the only thing that's going to save us. And do not comply with the digital ID. That would be my suggestion for people. And because that one world order is not for people who are light beings. So we need to say no and do not comply, in my opinion.
It's whatever's coming our way is coming, but we can only be ready for good things to happen, because I'm really disappointed in what I see right now with our administration. It seems like he's continuing to allow us to be targeted, and it's really getting on my nerves.
Yep, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we have some type of breakthrough.
Yeah, right now I watch it and I laugh because it's kind of like a circus show, a
Yeah,
circus, and he's the ringmaster.
yeah.
And
I'm
then
seeing the train
there's
clock.
no left or no right. There's no government. It's just, their circus show trying to take control of everyone and collect all their data and make billions of dollars off of people. It's crazy.
What good is it though if we're all like going to hell, basically? I mean, because that's what they're doing. I mean, when they're done with us, they're just going to come up, go after them. And look, they already did. They went after Charlie.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just going to wipe everybody out. And then what? It's just crazy. It's just craziness. And I agree with you on that one. I'm not very pleased at any of these government officials. They're the fake government anyway. I mean, and putting it lightly, and people can go and research American state nationals and find out blood money is. You can research blood money, and then you can watch the video series. Something is wrong when. And this hasn't been our government for a really long time, because we know that they're not for the people, by the people, and they're trying to take away our constitutional rights. So that's your first clue. So,
And I'm still having a hard time, really grasping the idea they see the future of people that are the chosen ones, who's going to change the world, and they've got to try to get rid of as many as they can before they actually change the world. I don't know, but I
yeah,
truly, I mean, how did they target you when you're just a child, a baby?
that's a very good question. And I often wonder if we're targeted at birth, and instead of, like the eyes wide shut movie where they give their daughter away at the end of the movie and let her be taken by those two guys, if they do it at birth. And I wonder how many TIs are like the youngest child of those targeted families. Does that make sense? And just see, because I have an older biological sister, and so I'm technically the baby. And so I've
And
often
that plays a
wondered
big role
about
too,
that.
the baby. It plays a role too. That was a commonality thing.
Yeah,
Do you know what blood type you are?
I am A positive.
A positive. I'm A negative.
So it's
You know,
very
listen, I've heard of people that they had called A positive and they were actually A negative because they did that to my daughter. And I just found out recently she's A negative. And they told me all her life she was A positive.
interesting. I might have to have my blood tested, but it's not going to be by the Red Cross, who is there, who gave me the card stating what my blood type was, and the Red Cross is part of it too.
Oh, definitely. FEMA, they all are. One of the things that you were talking about was I was talking about the bloodline, but the Rh negative blood does play a huge role in this on the being targeted part.
That's interesting. I haven't looked at that portion of it yet, but I will. And if anybody has any information about what she's speaking to, can you put it in the comment section of this video so I can learn more about that? Like,
Yeah,
I've had to relearn everything. And that's what, like it's a real wake up call. But once you know, I think knowledge is power.
it is. I mean, it was almost, I felt better with, life in general when I was asleep, but because I felt like I could at least go to the grocery store and not get harassed by someone or whatever. But, it is what it is now. And all we can do is pray because that's the only thing that we have. Because there's definitely no one coming to save us.
Yep, exactly. Yep. There's definite power in prayer. So, well, Sherri, I appreciate you so much for sharing your story. And I want you to, as always, stay strong. We got this.
Yes, God bless. I'm so excited that you're helping people. You're really, I just can't thank you enough because not many people are taking this subject on, and it really needs to be taken on, and everything needs to be exposed. I've got a whole network of Antifa people that I can expose with the evidence. Working with John Flynn, John Flynn has been one of the biggest voices on, really speaking out for people and actually calling, people. And sometimes he goes a lot overboard, but all in all, he's got a great heart to where, he wants justice too. He doesn't want to see our whole society collapse with demonic freaks.
No, no. So, do you want to tell the viewers that you do a show on every Sunday night on X? And can you tell them what your social handles are?
Yeah, the social handle is the @ targeting you, and I go by target you, and we just have people come on there and they talk about their targeting and they talk about different commonalities and how to protect yourselves, and and I have special guests sometimes like John Flynn, about what we're doing in the legalities of everything, the judicial side of everything. He's been targeted and bad, and he just got a hearing date. His lawyer should have dismissed it, but I truly think that they're paying his lawyer off now. But maybe I should have said that, but yeah, that's the way I feel. But I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get some legal I guess justice of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely. Justice needs to be served to we the people. So, can you tell us a little bit more about John Flynn? Because I hope to have him on this podcast soon.
So he ran for Senate in 2020 and 24, and he can prove election fraud just through what he went through, and he's been exposing all the corruption up in Connecticut from Blumenthal to Senator Himes to all the judges I mean, he has so many people. One of the ladies that was his actual medical proxy because they falsely committed him to a mental facility for I think it was 120 days. She was actually murdered like this past while he was in Whiting. And her husband was in pedophile. He works for the court system, and he used to work for the Clintons.
Yep.
It just
Okay.
it just keeps going on and on and on. They're all connected.
Right. They are. They're all connected. And once people start figuring that out, that we coming together and uniting as people. And that's how we're going to take this system down.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So follow him too, and he's on there most every Sunday. And I hope you have him on because he does a really good interview. He is impeccable. He really is.
Well, I enjoyed our interview, so I can't wait to hear yours on Sunday. I'll put a reminder on my calendar so I can come and
Okay,
join the
great.
conversation.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a shadow ban, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Kimberly. And let's do this again sometime. I would love to have I really want to do just like an evidence type of spider web thing like Ian Carroll does. He has that program that has the every dot connect kind of thing. Cause that's
Yeah.
that's how deep unfortunately, that's how deep my story is. So
We could do that. You could share your screen and yeah, that
that
would be
would be
fun.
awesome. Great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Okay, let's visit behind the scenes and we'll talk about that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for listening to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I hope today's episode has shed light on the experiences that too often remain hidden. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please reach out to me. Remember, you're not alone and your voice matters. Follow me on social media and subscribe to the podcast for more inspiring stories. Until next time, stay strong and keep unveiling the shadows.